Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And coming up today here on the State of the Saints podcast, head coach Kellen Moore cancels practice, all because Hunter Dekkers is the Saints' version of Larry Bird. We'll have that and more coming up right here on the State of the Saints podcast. The show starts right now.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who dat?
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do. And I do appreciate your time. Hope you're having a good Friday. We're doing this live as live can be. Not going to have a long show because, of course, why would we? The New Orleans Saints canceled the final day of minicamp, and they decided to go and do some team bonding. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, as well as answering some of your questions and comments throughout the show. I want to say thank you to those that checked out the last episode of the State of Saints podcast, or should I say Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones. That episode from the last video actually came from my weekly Saints podcast that is on Bleacher Report. So if you like that, we do that every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. on the Bleacher Report. You can download the Bleacher Report app, select New Orleans Saints, and you'll be able to see that podcast. But let's go ahead and get into it. Head coach Kellen Moore tells the team, peace out. All right. The final day of minicamp, the Saints, I'm pretty sure all the players thought that they were going to practice maybe, but Kellen Moore kind of just put a little bit of a monkey wrench into those plans and challenged the team. And, you know, the challenge was if one of the players can make a three-point shot, then he will cancel practice. So shouts out to Juwan Johnson, who is the offensive captain elected quarterback Hunter Dekkers to take the shot, who was a former high school basketball player, and he made it. Now, before I get into that, can you imagine if somebody elects you to shoot the shot and you decide, like, are we going to go through some strenuous hard work, be out here sweating in this Louisiana heat, and you are the guy that determines if we do that or not? Can you imagine if you miss? I mean, but he didn't miss, and the entire team was didn't have to practice. So they decided to do some team bonding, went to the 504 golf range, shoot some golf balls, and build some morale. And I like what Kellen Moore is doing with the football team right now. I think what he's doing, he's number one showing them that he is a player's coach. He is giving them confidence. He's letting them know that I believe that you guys are going to get it done. And he was also very impressed over the first 2 days of minicamp, so he didn't feel like there was a need for a third. That is going to take him a long way, especially when you think about the grind of the NFL season. There are some ups, there are some downs, and you want to be able to look at a guy and believe, put the thumbs up. Believe that he has what it takes to get you out of any situation. Or if you're in a good situation, be able to elevate that. And, I just think that it's going to give him some goodwill. I'm talking Kellen Moore during those adverse times or during those times where the team needs to take it to the next level. I just think that it also helps the team, understanding your teammates, understanding what makes them tick, understand like who they are as people, to me, builds that team into something stronger. And, I believe that is going to help this team. Now, still got to be able to put in the work. You still got to go out there and put your best foot forward. And, I believe that the New Orleans Saints are doing just that. I mean, we look around, we hear the reports. It seems like the team is trending in the right direction. Once again, you have to play the games. But to me, I don't have any issues right now with Kellen Moore. And I don't think any Saints fan should either. If you have any reservations about Kellen Moore as a coach, you just had those to begin with, because there's nothing he really showed that tells you that he is incompetent. This team looks like they're prepared. It looks like they're doing all the right things. It seems like they're taking care of the little things. Around this time last year, every single day, it seems like somebody had an injury report because someone went down. So it seems like he's putting an emphasis on monitoring guys' bodies. Shouts out to the new training staff, being on top of things. That stuff is going to go a long way. And it's also going to help these guys think the next time, maybe they just say they need to be pushed a little bit more. Those guys are going to go through their reserves and try to go out there and try to fight for this guy. That's what I believe. So he's building a really good football team right now. Only time will tell if it will pay off and wins. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. Shouts out to everybody that is in the chat right now. You're new to the State of the Saints podcast, and it's very simple. All you have to do is put your comments in the chat. We'll read them as long as, it ain't too out of line. We try to keep it clean here on the show. We'll start with Jasher says team building, awesome young coach. Yeah, I mean, I think Kellen Moore understands, because he was a former player. He was a quarterback in the NFL, and he understands the grind of these offseason activities and how they can pay a toll on guys, right? I mean, you're dialed in, you're in a classroom, you're on the field, you're trying to install all of these new concepts to help you be a better team, this year. And, guys, mind is spinning, and you want to be able to get away from the facility and do something fun where you can unwind and kind of be yourself. And also, once again, build a team's, relationship, friendships, etc. So, yeah, he understands that. So I believe because he understands what it's like to be an NFL player, it helps him to be able to navigate certain waters because he's been there and he knows how to talk to players and understand them. It's going to help him. It's a huge upgrade from Dennis Allen, and the players are locked in. Yeah, it is a huge upgrade from Dennis Allen. And I said this on the last episode. A lot of what Dennis Allen was going through was a coach that knew that he was on borrowed time. And last season, he coached like a desperate man. And sometimes, and it's life. I don't even want to beat up on Dennis Allen like that, because it's life. Like, if somebody basically gives us an ultimatum, or we feel like we're in a do or die situation, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to try to get out of it. If it's something that we're passionate about, we care about, we're going to try to push through and try to do everything, because we basically go into self-preservation. We go into survival mode. So I think a lot of his tactics last season was because he realized that if I don't fix this, then I can be fired. So I think a lot of his decisions, it was like, okay, we got to make sure that we keep grinding, keep chopping wood, as he would say. I mean, it's life, but it didn't benefit him. He had to think about the players in the process. And I think those players felt that. I think they felt that he was looking out more for himself and trying to keep his job, and instead of caring about what they feel. And you got to be able to have a balance. Like, you can't be soft, but at the same time, you have to understand the morale and the energy of your players, and you got to show them that you care. If you're in management or you're in any type of leadership role, you can't just think about yourself. You got to think about your team as well. And sometimes as a leader, you got to do some things that shows your team that you have their back. And if you're not doing that, then people aren't going to have any love for you if you end up losing that job. So I just think that he forgot that. I think that he wanted to make the team better, but I just think that he went into survival mode and it paid the price for it. So hopefully, we don't see this again. I think that what Kellen Moore is doing is the complete opposite, and it's going to work out for him. Jones Jr., I agree, and I hope Mickey Mouse Loomis thinks so too. Kellen Moore says, deuces, ooses, yee. Hey, TJ, play it one more time. When I seen him throw that ball. All right, here we go. When I seen him throw that ball, I was like, oh my God. When I seen him throw that ball, I was like, oh my God. When I seen him throw that ball. It's so matter of factly, when people be talking, man, when I seen him, I knew what time. I knew what time it was. Buck Crazy, thank you very much for the 199 says, how do you think y'all stack up in NFC South? Go Bucks. Buck Crazy, thank you for the comment and thank you for the donation of 199. I don't know. Yeah, look, if you've been here for a while, you know that I'm just not going to wave the pom-poms because I grew up a Saints fan. I'm a Saints fan and, I follow the team or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I think what they're doing is some really good things that can be beneficial to getting themselves out of this situation. I just don't know what that looks like in 2025. I hope that it translates to winning some games, getting yourself back into the black, so to speak, when it comes to the wins and losses over the last couple of years. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know. I don't know how they stack up in NFC South because I don't know what the NFC South looks like. I do know that there's not a huge degree of separation between the teams, even though Tampa has won the division on 4 consecutive occasions. If you look at the records, it always came down to the very end, and it only is separated by maybe 1 or 2 games. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just hope that you see a much better version. I know that's not saying a lot, especially where the Saints were last season, only winning 5 games, but just want to see something that you haven't seen over the last couple of years. I think that Saints fans could accept if the team is trending in the right direction, even if that doesn't look like playoffs, but it looks promising. I always go back to the Detroit Lions, the last game of the season back in the 2022 season, when they beat the Green Bay Packers to stop Green Bay from making the playoffs. That was the start, right? That was the game I feel like that kind of catapulted Detroit as a team, right? Everybody kind of knew, okay, we need to, be on the lookout for that. I can remember the game where I felt the same way about the Saints when I realized that they weren't going to be the Saints of old. It was 2 games. One game they won, and the other game I think they ended up losing because Willie Parker, the running back for the Steelers, just went off. It was that Steelers game that's synonymous with Reggie Bush with that big leap that he had, and it was the Cowboy game. It's always a game that just tells you, okay, this team is not going to be the team that they used to be. Detroit, that game against Green Bay was that's what the Saints need. If you can give New Orleans Saints fans that type of energy, I think they'll be fine because it'll give them the confidence to roll over into 2026 and feel like it can be even better. I just think that Saints fans want to see some type of results, something that doesn't resemble what the last 3 to 4 years have been for this team. If they do that, and I feel like you'll be fine. Now you can't be doing like close but no cigars in 2026. No, if you do something that you haven't done over the last couple of years, you got to be able to build off that. That's how you get fans looking forward to each season and also giving you the grace to be able to change the situation if your situations isn't looking very polarizing or sexy. The quarterback battle between Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler reminds me of the Tennessee Titans Will Levis versus Malik Willis quarterback battle is almost mirroring each other. Corey, I mean, from a competition standpoint, I agree with you. I mean, but when you think about Malik Willis, he came in. They probably one of the worst quarterback classes I think ever in the NFL, right? I think it was him, it was Kenny Pickett, and it was some other quarterback, that people were like looking at. But it just wasn't a good quarterback class. I think that Malik Willis has talent. We know he has talent because when Jordan Love went down, Malik Willis started in games for the Green Bay Packers, and he played pretty well. But yeah, this does resemble that. You got two young guys, right? Will Levis, a second-round pick. Malik Willis, was he like what was Malik Willis, like a third round or fourth round pick or something like that? You got that going on, right? And yeah, like them competing, kind of resembles that. But I feel like Tyler Shuck is better than Will Levis. I do. I think he'll end up being a better quarterback than Will Levis. And I mean, I don't know if Spencer Rattler going to end up, being better than Malik Willis. I think Malik Willis is much better than people give him credit for. I don't think that he's he's a quarterback that I feel like can be a starter in the league in the right situation. Like if Jordan Love was to go down and you need Malik Willis to start in 5 games, I think you can win 3 out of those 5 games. I mean, if you have a defensive performance, you probably can win 4 out of those 5 games. So, but I think that when it comes to Spencer Rattler, I think that, can he be a consistent starter? I can see that in him. But I just think when it comes to a little bit of a skill set, I just think that Malik Willis just a tad bit better. But yeah, that competition does resemble those two guys. Bro, y'all crazy think we going to win 12 games? That ain't the Drew Brees and Sean Payton era. Yeah, I mean, but the thing about it is people get excited when they see things trending in the right direction, right? The entire time, what Saints fans would like for the team to do is to change their perspective, about how they see this team. Towards the end of the season, I mean, morale was low, right? So in anything in life, when morale is down or you're feeling at your lowest, you're always trying to find reasons or things that can lift your spirits. When you're watching Kellen Moore and his coaching staff do things that are different, the unconventional way, right? I mean, little light things like putting the names on the back of practice jerseys or, going play paintball or canceling practice because of, a competition, shooting a ball into a net, like stuff like that. People are like, okay, he's trying to build the team, and it gets you excited. Also gets you excited when you don't see an injury report rolling out every single day, right? Stuff like that. So you look for the positive in things. So when it gives people more courage of their conviction, right? So by looking at a competent coach and a competent coaching staff, it makes you feel better about your situations. And then people start thinking about what? How the Saints started off at the beginning of the season. Oh, they were hot, red hot. And then all of a sudden the injuries start to pile up in that Eagles game. And the next thing you know, poof, the season just went up in smoke. But what happens if those guys take care of their bodies, right? What happens if Alvin Kamara can stay healthy for, the entire season? What can happen if the light turns on for one of these quarterbacks? What happens if, one of these defensive ends, linebackers, start to get hot and start flirting with flirting with Pro Bowl caliber talent, right? And abilities on the field. That's how people think. They're trying to find positive things. And if they start finding more and more positive things, it is going to make them start believing. Now, I don't think anybody should just jump out the window talking about 12 wins. Now, if 12 wins happen, would love to come back on this show and say I was completely wrong about the Saints. But I just think you want to focus on just being better than you were last season. Finding ways to find success consistently should be the key. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to be too hard on a team because we understand the circumstance. We understand what this Saints team has been over the last 4 to 5 years. So I don't want to just make these imaginary, expectations for a team and I know where they are. I think you're just setting yourself up for failure. Saw TJ streaming, so I decided to stop by and say hi and stuff. Cool, Cajun. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by. And thank you all for stopping by. Even ones that are not in the chat. I tell you, I appreciate it. You can be doing something else with your Friday afternoon. Weird. Weird. Who's Jerry? I don't see his name in the chat. Oh, Jerry Pori, man, that's the OG, man. If we talking about Jerry, that's the OG right there who has a birthday, I believe tomorrow. So if I don't get a chance to do a show live, happy early birthday to you, Jerry. Says we all want positive hope for the future. Yeah, I mean that's it. That's it right there, finest. Anything in life, like if we at our lowest, right? We always looking for ways to kind of build ourselves up. We don't want to stay in that spot. People will say that, man, I'm good right. No, you're not. You're always trying to find ways to try to lift yourself up. So nobody wants to go into 2025 believing that the Saints going to be the worst team in the league. You get enough of that when you're watching Monday Morning Quarterback or most of these NFL shows online or on television, right? On cable networks. So you don't want to feel that way about your team. You're trying to find ways to believe that they can be better, right? And in some ways, I understand when people tell me, about being like, hypercritical or negative towards the team. And I get it. Nobody wants to see or hear negativity all the time, right? They want some positive vibes. But you also want to have a real perspective about what this team is and where they need to go. If you do that, I think you'll be fine. Because you never want to be to a point where if you're having a conversation with a football fan of another team, that you can't have a realistic outlook on your team. Like you don't want to be that passionate where it's just like you just can't see it. And that's why, I kind of clash with some of those fans. Like you got to be able to see it. You may not want to hear it, but you also have to acknowledge it. Thank you, TJ, but we're going to run away with the NFC South. You all have a lot of talent over there. I mean, shouts out to the Glazer family. Shouts out to them, man. They do a really good job. The general manager, he does a really good job at bringing in players, man. They not afraid to stack up that offensive weaponry. I can tell you that. I give them that. Malik was a 3rd round pick, selected 86. I know it was like a 3rd or 4th round pick, but yeah. Thank you for that, Finest. I know it was like a 3rd or 4th round pick. I know it was one of those. Appreciate it though. It's always good when people go and fact check me and put it in the chat. Help the boy out. I'm about late, but that's because your boy on lunch. Well, ain't nothing wrong with that, Lee. Hope you're enjoying your Friday, man. Got some rain in the forecast. It's been raining like it's Seattle, Washington around here. I don't know about you all. What the weather been like where you at? Because man, it's raining every day. Paxton has his final flag football bowl game this evening. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to play it and the rain won't, cancel the game. It says, wouldn't be surprised if we manage to win more games than we're expected to win this year. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either, but, we got to see. We shall see. I think, if anything, they'll be more prepared in games this season than they were last season. Man, if we win 12 games, I'll run down Mississippi Bridge just skipping. Yeah, don't hurt yourself now. But, yeah, I definitely get your point. I definitely get your point on that, Lee. He says, sky's the limit with this coaching staff. Yeah, I mean, they're doing the right things. Let's see if that actually translates to some wins. But building a team up, building team morale will always go a long way. Because when you build up the team morale, I think that you're more than likely to be able to overcome adverse situations. When you can look at your brother in the eye and know that, man, this guy right here has my back, because you built that relationship, Like, it's kind of hard for you to, look at the guy and be like, next man up, and don't really know the next man. I got to believe, right? I have to believe. I'm not sure about you, but I have to believe because you're my teammate. What happens when you build that relationship? If I do my job, he going to do his job, right? Because you understand one another. That chemistry is there. So that's what you're building. For those, anybody that ever played anything organized or even work in a team setting at a job or anything like that, that if there's deadlines, if there's things that you need to do, who is going to rise to the occasion with you. Who is going to leave a little bit left on the field, if you will, right? That because you work and you have that experience with them. And who are you going to lean more towards? That person that more than anything, man. Hey, we got to get this thing done, man. You already know such and such ain't about to handle their business. So let's see. TJ is pronounced poor, like on your skin. I think I always just do that because, in Cajun countries, I always just say poor, but poor. Okay. I always just say poor because, you tell somebody who, poor, but like, no, it's poor. And then you got to put it. So, yeah, Jared Poor. Okay. Hardcore Jared Poor. That's what we're going to call him. The OG. Says, B Creole, my lunch almost over too, but I'm going to still listen to TJ. Hey, man, don't get fired. Don't be like, TJ, hey, man, I was listening to you, man. Boss, man, walked up in here, man. Nah, don't get fired, man. You can always be kind and rewind, or you can be after show boys.
Shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out. To them after show boys. Shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out. To them after show boys. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there. All right. Says only happy to see the madness of DA Carr out the door. Now we're in position to move forward as a team itself. We'll get there. Well, it's a start. It's a start. Getting that lightweight up out of here. Fragile egos, get that out of here. Now we can embark on a new frontier, so to speak. I definitely want to see the offense get back to scoring a lot of points. That would be nice. I don't even need a lot of points. I just need to know, can you go toe to toe if necessary? Can you go blow for blow, toe for toe, like whoa? Can you do that, right? Okay, if this team that you are facing has the capability of scoring 40 points, 45, 50 points like Buffalo could, right? Do you have the offensive weaponry to be able to take it and also dish it out, right? Can you do that? That's fine. Like, okay, if my defense stepping up, making plays, and we don't have to score 40 points, that's cool. And we ain't got to do it every week. But do we have the capability to do that? I would be fine. Like, I just want to see when opportunities present itself, the defense generate turnovers, give you a half a field, or put you in plus territory. Can you capitalize with 6 points instead of 3? Right? We all know, and I don't want to keep on hawking back to last year, but we know that the Saints, at times, they got in a fetal position, right? They kick field goals. They took the easy way out. They played it safe. Overthink a lot of situations, and it cost them games. So if we can get away from that, I'm not saying you got to be Dan Quinn going for it on fourth down all the time, but got to be able to capitalize. That's it. Be a little aggressive at times. You ain't got to be riverboat Ryan. Let them ride less. You ain't got to be any of those people. But, just be able to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. We shouldn't be delusional, but if we win 7 to 8 games, we are going in the right direction. Yeah, because nobody really expects that, right? Nobody really expects that. So, Lee, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says TJ, I hope all is doing well. May God bless you and your family. And I'm not going to get fired. LOL. We can have headphones. Look, man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. And God bless you, man, your family. You know, hope everybody's doing fine your way. Hope you're doing okay. TJ, would the Saints make the playoffs without a big body receiver? Yeah. I think they can. I have to see what this offense look like. It's kind of hard, see money for me to say, okay, they can do it. I got to see what this offense look like. What Chris Olave said that was very, very inspiring, you know, and, you know, as a fan, I feel like you should get inspiration or, you know, get some positivity out of what he said. He said that this offense allowed him to make plays in open space. So if we're talking about that, we know that Chris Olave can run. He can outrun individuals. So maybe this could be, you know, a wide open offense where those guys can be able to thrive. And maybe these smaller, shifty guys that's disciplined route runners and got blazing speed can be able to thrive. I don't know. I just got to see it. I got to see it. Right now, I got a wait and see approach on a lot of things. When things start to come together, that's when you can be able to analyze and understand because you have a larger sample size. Right now, it's just a lot of, you know, hoping and wishing at this point. Rain on and off here in South Carolina, but y'all need work. Can't keep moving contracts down the road if you got old players. Well, it seemed like they stopping that though. You know, this season, you know, they're in a plus. You know, and they're not really trying to push the issue, right? They're not trying to just go out here and overexert the checkbook if they don't have to. So maybe this is the start of them trying to gradually move back into the black and be able to draft well and accompany those players with a solid free agent from time to time, like most teams would do. Strolling down, Olave also said it gives him a chance to be more of a deep threat. Yeah, I think that you know, Chris Olave, the offense kind of designed him to be that down the field threat. If you think about it at the time, Chris Olave, the first round pick, he was supposed to be the Saints down the field threat, right? He was supposed to be the vertical threat of the Saints. Then all of a sudden, it was a good thing that happened, but Rashid Shaheed happened to the Saints, an undrafted guy, right? He comes in, he helps you out in the special teams game, really good returner, and he takes the top off the defense in ways that a lot of wide receivers can't even do. Like that throw, like Derek Carr, not that throw that he threw to Rashid Shaheed in that Cowboy game. That is not something that many wide receivers can do. Be able to split that corner, that safety like that. Not too many guys can do that. That's why it was so impressive. He outran the safety help, right? It's just like this guy standing in the middle of the field, yards off, and I mean he just cuts right through these guys like nothing. That's impressive. And when you have that type of talent on the team, you might have this first round pick that you had this idea for, but now it's like, okay, we got that. And we have a much better version of even what Chris Olave could do down the field. So what do? Lucky for Chris Olave, he's not a one-trick pony. You know, he can be able to, you know, make plays, you know, between 10 to 15 yards, not have to be 20, 30 yards down the field like Rashid Shaheed can. So I think that this, you know, I think Chris Olave going to be able to thrive, man. I think we're going to see, you know, more Chris Olave, you know, making plays. You know, don't have to worry about, you know, just throwing the ball down the field. I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll still get some of those down the field passes, but I think you'll probably see him kind of, you know, work the flat, you know, those 10, 15 yard, you know, in routes. And I can see that. Here we go with the days of Hollywood. Thanks, Buck. Need a big guy. Yeah, I mean they still need one, but I mean there's time, and also I say this, and I'm not trying to tell people how to feel, but we also have to concede that this is a new season. We have to, and a lot like we know that we had issues and problems with the last regime, the way they were coaching players, the way that the team came out there. There's a such thing as a coaching staff letting players down. And we should know that firsthand because every time we see a player that maybe the Saints have given up on go to other teams, we're starting to see them live up to their potential. So maybe, by fully judging guys like Bud Means, like maybe the Saints feel like he has a certain skill set. Okay, this year we're going to try to utilize that. And I feel like he deserves that, especially if we're talking about a coaching staff that we knew and felt that they weren't the best to be able to lead this football team. We can't say, oh, the Saints had an incompetent coaching staff, but okay, and it didn't affect how the players played. Can't do that. Now, if we're seeing the same type of behavior, it doesn't matter the coach, and you're starting to see some changeover from coordinators to, head coaches, et cetera, and we're seeing the same version of a player, then I think you can pretty much say, hey, that's just his wheelhouse. That's about as best as you're going to get from that player. Then we can have a conversation. But, maybe they feel like they have it in-house. Let's make sure we take a closer look, with this new regime, what these players actually look like. Because you might have to change your perception of that player. Because that's why I'm telling a lot of you fans to be careful. Be careful. Like just trying to go out here and trying to plant your flag about a player and say this is my heel, my heel, and I'm standing on it. Like player might come out there and make you look kind of, look bad. And all that could be avoided if you just give them an opportunity to be able to change your perspective. Say, okay, they didn't give me, enough for me to just buy into them, but I got to wait and see approach. And not get killed from a hospital ball, TJ. Yeah, I mean, but that comes with game planning and having plays that can generate separation. Sometimes those close quarter plays can be the reason why. If you have a safety in the middle of the field and you're telling them to throw like this slant, and this gives this safety an opportunity to be able to build up momentum to be able to take your freaking head off. Like, come on, man. Like maybe those congested plays kind of cause, these car crashes, so to speak, on the field. Down to see the offensive line and quarterback protection and aid in the run game. This is a must. Yeah, I think you have to count on a running game, Bruce. Yeah, it becomes so much of a cliche is corny at this point when they say that the best friend of a young quarterback is a good defense in a running game, but it's true. That is the best friend. That is something that a young quarterback could truly rely on, because if you have a good running game and you have running backs that can be able to hit their head on a goalpost, break, for big plays, it makes the life of a young quarterback much easier, because now you don't have to count on him to be that miracle worker, at least this stage of their career, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, it becomes a cliche, but it's true. Running the football is key, but it starts, Bruce, with what you said, the offensive line. I want to see what this offensive line look like. We haven't been talking about them because we feel like they're trending in the right direction, but I want to see what this unit looks like. And also, another thing that has been going on with the Saints over the last couple of years is you haven't seen their starting offensive line on the field like for games at a time. It's always like they're playing, tag. Okay, I'm hurt. Okay, you're in. All right, you hurt, I'm in. Tag. Like they're not playing together. So if we get a large sample size of this offensive line, right? Offensive line injuries are going to happen. Hopefully it's nothing significant, but you want to see it at least more times than you don't see it. Like 13, 14 games or something. Like if offensive linemen have to miss a game, like, okay. But if we can see this like 14 times, right? 13 times, You know, then you probably, if they about anything, your offense is going to be effective. But those reps, you have to have chemistry. You got to be on the same page. TJ, Kellen Moore bought in Gabe Davis and Cam Akers in for a visit. Should they be signed or not? Because we already lost out on Nick Chubb. See, money. Cam Akers is already practicing. He was there during minicamp, right? He was a part of the practice. But as far as Gabe Davis, he just came in for a visit. He came in for a visit. Haven't heard anything, so I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Maybe Gabe Davis talked to the team, representation talked to the team, and it said they're gonna circle back because he has some other teams that were interested in him, and maybe he wants to hear what they have to say before he makes his decision. He doesn't have to play this season. Like if he's still dealing with injuries and teams are kind of on the fence, you had some injuries, but we would love to have you, yada yada yada. But if he doesn't like the deal, he's okay because he's in line to make $11.5 million from the Jaguars. He wants to play, and he's willing to play on a team-friendly deal. How friendly? I mean, it's up to him and his representation, but I would love to have Gabe Davis. What we're looking for is someone that can play a role. We're not looking for someone to be Megatron. That would be nice. I'm pretty sure the Saints would love someone that mirrors Megatron, but you just need somebody that's going to be able to make plays when the ball is thrown their way. They can catch it. Also be able to break a tackle or two, fight for a first down. And when we're talking about size, we're talking about somebody that can be a difference maker in the red zone. Salty Saints as ever, y'all got it figured out. Well, I don't know if, some people want this team to work, so they're willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if they got it figured out or not. I really don't. But I like some of the things that I'm actually seeing. I'm liking the quarterback competition. I'm liking how both guys are pushing one another. The fact that we're at this point going into training camp and we're still like, man, I don't know who's going to be the starter. That is a thumbs up. That is what you want to hear. If we're having this conversation and it's pretty much solved already, I don't want to say it can be a dangerous thing because sometimes a quarterback competition can be solved because maybe that quarterback just looks so good and even like he exceeded your expectations. But when it comes down to competition, you don't want to be going, like right now and be like, okay, he's the starter, because that means that maybe the other guy didn't look the part. So the fact that we're still having conversations about Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, and we don't know which one that is going to be the starting quarterback, I think that's a plus. That's a testament to both guys going out there and making plays. Buck Crazy, thank you very much for 199. Said happy Father's Day to all you guys. Go Bucks. Yeah, happy Father's Day to you too, man. All the dads out there, hope you have a great Father's Day. Take care of your kids, doing the little things that you have to do for your family, big and small. Appreciate that. The hateration, true motivation. He's drinking that haterade. Like I always say, like Buck Crazy or any fan of other team, like if you come to a platform or listen to a show that's like completely dominated by a certain fan base, even if they feel bad about the team situation, like you'll never get it. We gonna be all right. Don't worry about it. People gonna maybe behind closed doors talk about it, but they ain't about to give you what you want in front of them. I got no kids, but I feel old at 24. Well, look, nothing wrong with that, man. Having kids is the most gratifying thing in life, I feel. But, if you have time to be able to figure out who you are and figure out what you want, that's always a plus too. So every day is Father's Day. Yeah, very much. Every day I wake up, it's Father's Day, right? Because, I'm a father. I'm a father, or, you benefit, saying someone's life in some way, right? But y'all know what it is, man. It's just a moment. I know sometimes, people talk about holidays and stuff, but, it's just a moment that you just take out, for individuals. And I'm going to take a few more and then I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Larry says the Saints are lucky they were able to get Moore as their head coach, considering they had the last job opening this offseason. I think if we can get the quarterback position right, Moore will be successful. That goes with anything, Larry. That's true. But that goes with anything when it comes to the National Football League. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going anywhere. I don't care how good you can coach. If you don't have that trigger man, you're not going to get the successful results that you seek. You're probably, if you have a solid quarterback, you'll probably, be able to get something out of them, but it's not going to be consistent. You need your guy. You need trigger man. You find the right trigger man, then guess what? You're going to find success. If not, you're going to be going through the motions. And, you better hope that you have a patient fan base, which most teams don't have, because everything is about what have you done for me lately? That's what it's about. So people aren't going to give you time. So you better make sure you got the right trigger man. Heard the team went to 5-0 golf. Love how they are exploring and having fun as a team. Yeah. That's a pretty cool name for a golf, shooting range, 504. That's pretty cool right there. Whoever came up with that name, shouts out to them. Great creativity right there. Why wouldn't Carr want to work with Coach Moore? That's a good question, Chris. I wish I had that answer for you, but I don't. Maybe because he's a Dennis Allen guy. Feels like Dennis Allen was the one that brought him in. Maybe he doesn't really know Kellen Moore like that. Or it's just the fact that maybe, just maybe, you can't control the narrative anymore. People aren't going to be, just accommodating everything. Look, I don't know, man. I don't want to spend most of my time talking about him anymore. I wish him all the best. I hope that everything works out for him, but he's no longer with the team. And, I don't think there's no love lost between fan base and him. Glad to see how you've grown the channel and your career, big dog. Just wanted to say, as a Titan fan, I know exactly what you're going through. Heck, still going through it. I love mad drama. Shouts out to my guy Terry, man. Shouts out to my guy Terry in there, man. Look, me and Terry, we go way back, man. That's my guy right there, man. Yeah, I know you're a Titan fan. I was actually I actually was discussing Cam Ward the other day. How serious this guy is and how much of a professional he is. I'm interested to see what Cam Ward can do this season. We'll get into that, as we transition to the state of NFL that's coming in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna be happy to talk about those things. But yeah, my boy Terry, that boy been a Titan fan. I don't know how long. But yeah, shouts out to you, man. Much love. And happy Father's Day to you, man. I hope your wife and family doing great. TJ, what's your background in basketball? You have a wicked jumper. I have no background in basketball except for like pickup games. That's about it, man. Speaking of Jackson State, where me and my guy Terry went to, we used to go into the Walter Payton Center play basketball, man. So just kind of just shoot around, or growing up, my uncles used to have a basketball hoop in a backyard or on the side of the house. Y'all know how we do it, man. If we got a side lot, that's ours, right? Even get that side lot. My grandfather poured down some concrete, and they put a basketball hoop out there, and the whole neighborhood used to be out there, man. And I'll tell y'all a story, man, before we get up out of here. My motivation to play basketball came from my uncles never picking me. And my uncles, once again, the house that they had, everybody in the neighborhood would come over there and play basketball. And me and my brother Sam, we're a year apart, and his birthday is tomorrow too. So, if you're watching this, man, happy birthday to you. But anyway, we used to stand on the side like 6, 7 years old, and my uncles would allow all the kids in the neighborhood to play. And me and my brother on the sideline waiting, we got winners. All right. And they humoring us and stuff like that, right? So they used to tell us all the time, like on those hot days in New Orleans in the summertime, there would be like, if you go to the store for us, we'll let you come back and play. So the store is like right around the corner. So my grandparents, who stayed on Montague Street at the time, we would go over to Russia Blade, which is a couple of streets down, go to the store, get them some punch and all that kind of stuff, water. We were running to the store. We're excited. We're trying to hurry up and get back. And then they'll drink a little bit of Gatorade and go in the house. And they did that to me and my brother several times. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is that was my motivation, because I would get so angry at my uncles for going in the house. I would say, when I grow up, I'm going to make sure I never lose to y'all in basketball. And I'm glad to say that I have never lost to my uncles in basketball when I got older. I mean, that was my NBA finals, but that's where a little bit of my basketball background come from motivating me to try to beat my uncles in a game of basketball. So yeah, but I use basketball as a way of cardio now, because sometimes I don't like running on a treadmill. Sometimes you like to do different things other than treadmill or the bike to kind of build up that cardio. That's what I was doing. But yeah, that was the NBA finals for me, playing my uncles. We played basketball across the street from my grandparents' house. I think everybody has a story like that. Everybody has a story like that. Everybody has a story like that. Like if they used to have, if you from the city, like there's always a park like down the street, like Bunny Friend Park, Montague, down the street, they had a park, but my uncles, they put so much they put so much work into that court, because my grandfather was a carpenter, and he had a job where he had to lay down some concrete, and he had some left over from the job. So he allowed my uncles to use the concrete, to make a concrete slab for them to have a basketball court. And I mean, they laid that thing out, man. And, they took the spray paint and, made like the lines and everything like that. And I never forget, like my Uncle Jerry, he puts the NBA on there, right? He writes the, letters NBA. And that was like the 3-point line. And, man, we thought it was so cool. Like once we got older, we were able to shoot from there. So, I mean, I don't mean to tell y'all like these long drawn out stories, but that's just my childhood, man. It just made me smile a little bit. Because it just tells you, man, like how far things have come sometime, man. Like if you had that backyard with the basketball goal, man, everybody was in your yard. Everybody wanted to be the guy who had the basketball goal. Everybody wanted to be that guy, because the whole neighborhood show up. And when they show up, if they legit, they're gonna come through with some snacks, some drinks, and they're gonna share with you, right? Well, LSU won. I don't even like baseball, and they have me watching them. And it's crazy around here, man. With Coastal Carolina going to Omaha, like it's absolutely crazy around here. People are so excited about that team. Covering Coastal Carolina from the football team, and I have an appreciation for that school, man. Those students love that school. The alumni love the school. And you got opportunity to meet some cool people, man. Shouts out to Josh Norman. Josh Norman always like shows up to those games. I actually met him a couple times when he was out there. Either we all walk to the court or walk to the community center. Good times. Yeah. We played on the blacktop. Yeah, most schools, like, they had the blacktop. Or, at the park, they had it too. Or you had one that was under the pavilion. If you're from across the canal, close to Lawless, they used to have the one under the pavilion. Too much going on over there, man. Too much going on. But that's what most people from across the canal would play. Them backyard hoop sessions hit when you by yourself get a chair or a cone and dribble around it like it was a real person. Or you can get the chair and jump off the chair and try to dunk like we used to do. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate your time. Hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope that all the fathers out there have a great Father's Day. And speaking of fathers, speaking of men, this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a moment where we acknowledge men's mental health. It's something that a lot of men don't try to address. 1 in 5 men will experience some type of mental condition in 2025. And more than 60% of those men aren't going to get the proper help. But just know that you have outlets out there, menstherapy.com, 888.com. These type of websites are there to help you. And it's okay, to not be okay sometimes. You got to express yourself, right? Express yourself to your friends. Express yourself to somebody that you can trust. Not going to tell you everything about you to somebody, right? But don't hold that stuff inside, man. If you talk about being tough and being real, the realest thing is to acknowledge who you are and what you are. All right. So make sure you do that. All right. And also you can check out Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones on the Bleacher Report. Also, you can check out the State of the NFL coming really, really soon. You can go to youtube.com, search State of the NFL. Go ahead and start subscribing now. Gonna get some episodes up and popping real soon. I'm excited about this new project. You can follow State of the NFL on X as well. Just search State of the NFL. All right. Have a good weekend to everybody. Shouts out to all the After Show boys, After Show girls out there. And until next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who dat?